Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I hope you're doing well these days. A few days ago I asked you on my Instagram account to send me some raw time lapse and a hyperlapse to edit, and in this video I'm gonna show you how I edit them. So just to be clear, this is my own way to post-processing the time lapse. So I'm not claiming this is the best way. Everybody has its own workflow, but I hope to show some tricks and tips that I normally use that might help you on the next edit. Also, I want to thank you for sending me all the raw files. I know it's not very easy for someone else to edit your own work, so I really appreciate it. And to be honest, I didn't expect so many time lapse. We have, I think, like 13 from sunset, hyperlapse, and even a astro time lapse. So thank you so much. So let's start with the first one, which is from Alessandro Pellizer. He's from Italy and he sent me an hyperlapse of the sunrise in Bassano del Grappa. First of all, I will just add all the time lapse on LR time lapse. I will create the keyframe and then adjust every keyframe on Lightroom. And the adjustment that I will do, I have a preset I normally use, will give me a basic contrast, some saturation, some vibrance, but you know, it's just a base to start. And then we'll adjust the highlights, the shadows, blacks and whites. And something I'll do as well, change a little bit of temperature on the white balance, and on the HSL panel I will change a little bit, go a little bit to orange, and the split tone I will change the highlights and the shadow, giving a little bit more saturation on the reds. After that I will load it back to LR Timelapse and create the transition. And once I save everything on the metadata, I will load it to After Effects, and I will just render the first clip as a master with any effect. So once it's done, I will add it again to the After Effects and put the warp stabilizer effect on it, run it and see how it looks like. And so this is the result, and it looks pretty nice already. So I don't think it will need an extra stabilize. So okay, something that is bothering me a little bit are the birds. So what we're doing, we create a mask on the sky, duplicate the layer, and add the lighten mode on the first layer, and poof, we got the birds out of the frame. Something else as well I don't like it is there is like a couple of how do you call it, a couple of columns, I don't know, a couple of things that pass over the hyperlapse at some point, and I will like to remove them. And to remove them, I will create a mask around them. I will create a second layer and move a couple of frames back the layer. So once the mask is on, you basically don't see anymore the pillar. And that's it, I'm gonna render it. Yeah, and that's it, and that looks very nice. Thank you, Alessandro, to send this over. Well done on the hyperlapse, very stable. So the next one, we go with the Adrien Giret, I think. He's from France, and he sent me a sunset on this lake. It's quite interesting. Beautiful colors on the clouds. And this one is pretty easy to edit. So still the same thing. I will open on LR Timelapse, add the keyframe. I will edit the keyframe picture on Lightroom, and then save the metadata. The only thing I'm going to do on these images is still got the baseline time lapse I will add, and then play around with the highlights and add the split toning as well to give a little bit of punch on the sky and on the shadow. And once it's done, upload it back to LR Timelapse and create a transition. And I see there is a little bit of flickering, so even on LR Timelapse I will add the flickering to get rid of it a little bit. And that's it. Now open After Effects, load it, and the only thing I will do is create the first master, and then once it's done, I'll upload it again and add the flicker free to get rid of all the flickering on this time lapse. And that's it. That was very nice done as well. This one quite smooth. Technically it was very well done. Composition, I like a composition. You can see the reflection of the mountain. Nice, well done. Well done, Adrian. Now we got a time lapse from Kike. Kike is from Spain. He's a friend of mine. We shot a few times together, and he sent me this moon set of the 4 towers. I can see here that the first shot are not with an interval, so I will just get rid of those and put the keyframe on the first picture where I can start, where the interval starts. And that's it. The same, I will do the keyframe, edit the keyframe. I will add the base layer and then play around with the highlights. And here with the temperature, I will just put a little bit on the cold temperature. And that's it. Yeah, then I will add it back to the LR timelapse, put the transition, and once this is done, I will put it to After Effects. I can see there is a little bit of shake on this image, I think because with the long lens it can create a little bit of shake, so I will just run warp stabilize to get rid of the shake, and then the only thing I will do is to add flicker free as well, and that's it. Looks pretty good now. So yeah, you can see the moon going down, and it is pretty stable. You can see only the air moving on the frame, and that's it. Pretty nice. Thank you, Kike. So our next clip is from Javier. He's another friend of mine here in Spain. He recently went to New York, so he sent me a clip from the docks. Pretty nice location. So here again, I will do the same as I'll do with the sunset. So create the keyframe and then edit everything on Lightroom, play around with the highlights and then with the split toning to get a little bit of punch on the sunset. Also, I am creating a radial filter because it is a little bit too blue on the blue hour, so I want to get the outside a little bit warm and the city light a little bit cooler, so I will just create this radial filter, and that's it. Basically what I'll do is again create a transitional LR timelapse, save the metadata, open After Effects and render the first master. Once it's done, I can see there is a lot of what's going on the sky. There is a lot of birds, a lot of helicopters, so I'm gonna get rid of that with this technique that I show you on this tutorial. So there is a tutorial already made if you want to check out. So basically what I do, I just create a second layer, move one frame and then change the mode on lightning and mask out the sky, and you get rid of all the birds and helicopter. Then he didn't use an ND filter here, so the water is pretty scattered and it is moving a lot. So I'll do another tutorial I made about smoothing the water, and I will create 19 layers, move every layers one frame, and then create a different opacity on each layer, and you can see the result will be much smoother water. I create a mask as well over the water, so just the water will be smooth, not the clouds. And that's it. Create a new composition and put the flicker free on, and that's it. This one's done, and this one looks very nice as well. You need to check Javier YouTube channel as well. It's very good. It does a lot of time lapse already, and yeah, pretty nice. So thank you so much, Javier, to send me this nice clip from New York. The next one, we go Arnold, which is from Netherlands, near Amsterdam. He is my first Patreon that I have, so thank you so much for supporting me. He sent me an hyperlapse that he did in Amsterdam, looking the tower. I think it's a 360 sky, roof sky, that you can see the city. What I did here as well, same thing, baseline layer of the time lapse with the contrast, some saturation, and I can see the hyperlapse it could have been a little bit more precise, I think, during while it's shot, but I think it's doable to stabilize this one. Of course, I will try to get the work stabilized first, but it didn't work that well, so I will stabilize everything with the track motion, and I will create 2 points. One is rotation and one is position. So I will decide, I think on the tower, I will put the first point on the top of the tower, and the second spot at the end of the tower, where is the white column, and then I will click forward to see if I can make it by itself, but yeah, it doesn't look like. So what I will do manually every frame, adjust the spot. So yeah, okay, I'll go a little bit forward because it took me a little while to get this one. And yeah, that's it. Once it's done, it looks pretty stable already. So what I do is just create a new composition, scale in, and then add the word stabilize to clean up everything. And that's it. Yeah, it looks pretty nice. Thank you so much, Arno, to send me this one. And yeah, keep it going with the Hyperlapse. It looks good. Looking forward to see your new works. So now we got another one from David. He is as well from Spain, and he shot this sunset in Madrid, looking the 4th tower as well from distance. He sent me a lot of pictures. I think it was like 900 pictures, but I had to divide in 4 time lapse because there was a little bit of movement. And there was a gap between shots, so that you can see the gap on the clouds. Here as the same, everything I will do the LR time lapse first and then adjust the keyframe. A little bit overexposed I see on the first one, but it's okay. I mean, I would suggest to expose everything on the shadow, so because it's easier to recover the shadow and the highlights. I will do the keyframing on the first one. I will take 2 time lapse because I see the first one, the third one was out of focus, so I think maybe he was changing the settings and something, he touched the lens and so everything was out of focus, unfortunately. So I will use only the second and the last time lapse, which are very nice actually. So in the first one you can see the time lapse of the sun goes down. Yeah, put it back on the After Effects. Again here I will create the master, stabilize it a bit because it shakes a little bit, and then added the flickering, and that's it. This one looks very nice as well. Yeah, too bad for the highlights on the first one, which is a little bit burnt out, but yeah, good stuff. Thank you, David, to send it over. And this is from France. I think it's from Germany, and he sent me a couple of clips of Sydney, so I choose to edit the hyperlapse that he sent me. It's an hyperlapse shot from a boat, and it's pretty cool. So what I did here, I created the keyframe as well, edited the keyframe, play around with the highlights and contrast, and once it's done, I will do this. I will create a transition on LR time lapse to get everything smooth. On After Effects, what I did, I stabilized it, but the warp stabilizer was it was a little bit different settings, because if I put it the first, if I put it as standard, basically it will create a weird effect. So instead of a subspace warp, I put it on the method like position, scale, rotation, and preserve the scale. So everything, basically the warp stabilizer, it wouldn't warp and create this weird effect. And this one, yeah, looks pretty nice, like this, more stable. It doesn't zoom in and zoom out because you preserve the scale. If you preserve the scale, basically it doesn't go in or out of the frame. And that's it. Put a little bit of flicker free and done. It looks pretty nice. Yeah. Thank you so much, France, to send it. Well done. And now we have Acomark. He's from Tenerife, and this is shot, I think, in La Isla de Hierro, which is another island in the Canaries. And this is actually a Milky Way shot of the Milky Way rising on the horizon. This is pretty cool. So let's see. First thing I see is that there is a lot of flashing light on the background, on the foreground. Sorry. So I'm gonna get rid of those later. But yeah, that's it. First thing as well, I will do the same. Put the baseline, keyframe. On the Milky Way shot, I am creating as well a radiant filter when the galaxy core will rise, and then basically copy and paste every frame and adjust the radiant filter where the core is. So I will pop up a little bit the color and the saturation and the contrast on the radiant filter, so just the Milky Way will pop up. And the LR time lapse basically will see that the radiant filter is moving, so it will create a smooth transition between the shots. Something I like to do as well is to check the white balance. I like the green on the sky, but later on I will put a little bit more bluish. It looks a little bit more natural. I'm not gonna put any noise reduction on at the moment. I will add that later. So So yeah, let's see on LR Timelapse. I will read the metadata and do the auto transition. Now in After Effects, I will render the first clip as a master, and then once it's rendered, I'm gonna get rid of that light on the foreground, which is flashing a lot. I think it's a bit due to cars passing by. So what I do is I will create another layer and mask out the foreground. And here I'm creating more layers just to get a little bit more precise. And as well, I'm feathering a little bit the mask, so you don't see the difference on the perimeter of the mask. And yeah, that's it. Now I create a new composition, and I'll do the noise reduction with Neat, which is an amazing plugin that you can get from After Effects. And that's it. Put a flicker free as well, just in case, and I render it. And this looks very, very well done. I love it. The sky on the Canary is just amazing. Look at that. Beautiful work, beautiful work. Okay, next we go to Pablo Pozo, which is another guy from Spain. I met him a couple of times here in Madrid. Very nice guy. And his shot as well is a moonset. Now a moonrise behind the tower, the 4th tower of Madrid. And I can see here, he told me that it was in aperture priority, and the camera basically messed it up a little bit with the exposure, so he go on the middle of the time lapse was really dark. So I tried to adjust it as much as possible on LR time lapse, and I think it went pretty well. So what I did, I adjust the exposure on each frame to make it a little bit similar to the next and on the previous. And I did a little bit trick at the end, basically because there is a lot of difference between the first shot, the middle, and the last. You'll see. I did a little bit of trick. The only thing I did here on After Effects is to add a warp stabilizer to get a little bit stable, flicker free to get rid of the flickering, and to get a little bit more smooth transition on the light. And that's it. So as you can see now on the final result, I zoom in and zoom out when the drastic light is changing. So it looks like a different shot. So that you can mask the camera error on this time lapse like this. Oh yeah, pretty nice, pretty nice. I think next time you should try it manually. The camera won't do all the work, and you can avoid this kind of error on the camera. Thank you so much, Pablo, to send this one. Right, next one we have Alexandrus, and he's from Spain. I think he's from north of Spain, and he's also sent me a New York shot. I think he's from the top of the rock. Nice sunset. And this is basically the same thing with the sunset, quite easy I think to edit. What I did, I just add a gradient filter on the top to get a little bit more details on the clouds. I adjusted the white balance, and that's it. And create the time lapse on the LR time lapse, smoothing the transition, and yeah, it looks pretty nice. I deflicker a little bit on LR time lapse as well, just to get rid of the flicker that he has. So on After Effects, what I did is just put the flicker free on it to get rid of all the flickering. And that's it. That looked pretty nice. Too bad it wasn't too much color that night, but yeah, it looks good. Very stable. The composition is the must if you're on top of the rock. Yeah, well done, well done. Next one is from Abishkek. I hope I don't butcher your name. He's from India, and he sent me this sunrise with a lot of colors. I love the colors of the sunrise. So here as well, same thing, LR time lapse, put in the keyframes and adjust the color and the split toning to get a little bit of more colors on the sky. And that's it. Reload on LR time lapse and create this smooth transition and a little bit of the flickering. On After Effects, what I did was to get rid of the birds, because there's a lot of birds after sunrise. And I tried the technique that I showed you before, but it didn't work this time because the clouds, they were moving quite fast, so it doesn't look that good on this situation. So what I did is to create another layer and going through the time lapse and check and see where's the other birds and create a mask around the birds, and just checking every frame where I can see the birds. And that's it. Add flicker free to get rid of the flickering and render. Love this time lapse. Very well done. Very well done. You keep the highlights nice exposed. So yeah, the color on the sky are beautiful. Yeah, well done. Like it. Thank you so much for sending. Now we have Horacio, which is from Spain as well, and he sent me this time lapse is vertical. So I think because he told me that there's a few trees on the side, so he prefers a vertical shot, and this is a sunset of the 4 towers. But unfortunately, it's out of focus, so the focus is on the tree. So just to be careful when you shoot. It happens to me a lot of times, unfortunately. So you need to be careful. You need to check at least 4 times before you start shooting, because sometimes you mess up something you didn't notice and you get everything out of focus. I did anyway edited so I can see the result. And what I did, I cleaned up a little bit the image, which had some spot on the sensor, change the white balance a little bit get them a little bit cold, put a little bit more exposure because it was a little bit dark sometimes. And on After Effects, I only stabilize it and add the flicker free to get rid of the flicker. And that's it. If it was on focus, it would be a pretty nice time lapse. It is still, but you know, it's out of focus. But well done anyway. I think keep going and shooting more. You're gonna get rid of this error. that happens, don't worry. Thank you so much for sending. And the next one and the last one is from Manuel. Manuel as well is from Spain. He's a friend of mine. We shot a few times together, and they sent me this shot, this time lapse from the coast. I think it's on the north, I'm not sure. I think it's from the north of Spain. And they did a motion time lapse, so I think it has like a SERP mini, so you can do the panning. And as well, there is a nice long exposure, you can see, so I don't need to get that effect that I did before, which is smooth the water. So this is already smooth with the ND filter. And what I did is again put my preset, edited the keyframe, put a gradient on the top, because when you start to pan on the left, the sky looks a little bit more brighter. So basically I graduated, decreased the exposure on the gradient filter, which is create a little bit more smooth transition. And that's it. Save the metadata, open to other time lapse, created the transition, save it, and add it to After Effects. And After Effects, the only thing I did was just to add flicker free, because there was a little bit of flickering. That's it, done. Nice time lapse. A little bit short. I would have make it a little bit longer, but I like it. Very nice. Thank you so much, Manuel, for sending me this time lapse. And that's it. If you're still watching, thank you so much for staying until the end. And again, a huge thank to everybody that sent me those time lapse. I really enjoy to edit them. I hope you learned something new from my editing workflow. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, of course. And if you want to see more video like this with me editing your time lapse, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao, ciao. Stay safe.